Hello and welcome to CKE 10,001's gaming channel. In this video, we'll be looking at my 8 wind, 8 bounce Starlight Revue deck profile. This deck build runs 20 level 0s, 9 level 1s, 6 level 2s, 7 level 3s, and 8 climax cards. So the first card we're going to take a look at is the level 0 card, Stage Girls Summer Clondine Saijo. I'm running this at 3 copies. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a Revue character, put it in your hand, choose a card in your hand, and put it into a waiting room. Second effect is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your waiting room. If there's a climax reveal among those cards, this card gets plus 3,000 power until end of turn. You can do either effect in any order. They both trigger at the same time. The first one, both of them are mandatory, but you can choose whichever order to resolve them. It's a good filter effect and good milling effect, so it's so it's good to run. Then I'm running 3 copies of My Own Shine Karuko Hanayagi. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card is placed on stage from hand, choose one of your characters, and that character gets the following ability until end of opponent's next turn. This card cannot become reversed by auto effects of your opponent's characters. And then the second effect is activate Brainstorm, pay 1, rest this card, flip over 4 cards from the top of your deck, put them in your waiting room, and for each climax reveal, choose 1 character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So it's a self-rest Brainstormer that salvages. That's yellow. And then I'm running 3 copies of My Own Shine Karen Ijo. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can look at the top card of your deck. You can put on top of your deck or into the waiting room. The second effect is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can pay 1, put the top card of your deck into your clock. If you do, choose 1 level 1 or lower character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So it's a Ricky type effect. Helps you set up your level 1 combo if you have the level 1 waiting room, or usually that's your main target. Then I'm running 4 copies of Full of Fighting Spirit Futaba Isurugi. It has 1 effect. If this card is in the middle position of your center stage, this card gets plus 3,000 power and plus 1 soul, continuous. And then I'm running 4 copies of Brimming with Confidence Karuko Hanayagi. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card attacks, you can discard a card. If you do, choose 1 of your other Revue characters and return it to your hand. And then the second effect is Bond to Full of Fighting Spirit Futaba Isurugi. Put the top card of your deck into your clock. When this card is placed on stage, plays on stage, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose Full of Fighting Spirit in your waiting room to put your hand, so you bond to it. So the idea with running 4 copies of that level 0 is to bounce the level 1s back to your hand. So you place, so the second effect, you place, you can bond to the level 0, which is already a plus. Doesn't eat any stock, just take a hit for it. And then when you attack with this card, you can discard the card you bound to, level 0, and bounce this level 1 back into your hand. So you can use it again next turn if you've already attacked with the level 1 to get the tutor off from its climax combo. So the idea is to cycle those cards over and over as much as you can, so you can do the climax over and over again, climax combo over again. Then I'm running 2 copies of No Other Friend Futaba and Karuko. This card has 2 effects. The first is when this card attacks, you can choose one of your other Revue characters, and that character is plus 1,000 power until end of turn. The second effect is auto. When this card becomes reversed, if this card's battle opponent is level 0, you may put that character into your opponent's stock. If they do, put the bottom card of your opponent's stock into his or her waiting room. Then I'm running 1 copy of My Own Shine Clondine Saijo. It has 2 effects. The first is if this card is in the middle position of your center stage, this card gets plus 2,000 power. The second effect is when this card is placed on stage from hand, you can discard a climax. If you do, choose 1 Revue character in your waiting room, return it to your hand. So it's a climax discard outlet. And then I'm running I'm running 3 copies of the promo level 1, Feelings of the Two, Kaoruko and Futaba. It has 2 effects. The first is continuous. If you have 2 or more other characters with Futaba or Kaoruko in their card name, this card gets plus 1000 power continuous. And then the second effect is auto. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, choose one of your other review characters, and that character gets plus 1500 power until end of turn. So this card gives a lot of power, helps you get the reverse for your level 1 combo, which is the next card we're going to take a look at. And it's Our Flower Path Futaba Isurugi. We are running 4 copies of this card. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, this card gets plus 1500 power until end of turn. The second effect is when this card's battle poem becomes reversed, if closest to you is in your climax area, you can search your deck for up to 1 review character revealed to your opponent, put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck. Then I'm running 2 copies of Leotard Futaba Isurugi. It has 2 effects. The first is if this card is in the middle position of your center stage, this gets plus 3000 power and plus 1 soul. And the second effect is Auto Encore. Put the top card of your deck into your clock, so it's Clock Encore. Then I'm running 1 copy of Pointed Sword Nana Daiba. It has the backup effect, 2500. And when you use this card's backup, you can pay 2 stock, put one character from your stage into your waiting room. If you do, you can choose one of your opponent's characters with level higher than your opponent's level and put it into your opponent's stock. So it's an early play Punisher. Then I'm running 1 copy of Spectating Kaoruko Hanayagi. It has 3 effects. The first is your other character in the middle position of your center stage gets plus 500 power. Second is continuous. All your characters in front of this gets plus X power. X equals to that character's level times 500. And then the third is auto. At the beginning of your opponent's main phase, you can pay 1. If you do, choose 1 card in your opponent's clock and put it into his or her waiting room. If you do, your opponent puts the top card of your opponent's deck into his or her clock. So you can kind of mess up your opponent's early play conditions if they have that type of card. Then I'm running 4 copies of Enrollment Invitation Futaba Isurugi. It has 2 effects. The first is continuous. If there are no markers underneath this card gets minus 7500 power. The second is auto. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can choose 1 Enrollment Invitation Futaba Isurugi in your waiting room and put it face up underneath this card as a marker. So it uses itself as a marker, and if you don't have that marker, it has a downside of minus power. Then I'm running 3 copies of My Own Shine Futaba Isurugi. It has 2 effects. The first is auto. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can draw up to 2 cards, then choose 1 card in your hand and put it into your waiting room. The second effect is auto. When this card attacks, if you have a character with Kaoruko in its card name in the middle position of your center stage, you can pay 1 stock and discard a card. If you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and this gets plus 1000 power until end of turn. And then I'm running 4 copies of Our Flower Path Kaoruko Hanayagi. It has 2 effects. The first is when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's characters, return it to his or her hand, and this card gets plus 2000 power until end of turn. The second effect is the Climax combo. When My Best Self is placed on your climax area, you can pay 1 stock, put 1 character with Futaba or Kaoruko in its card name from your hand into waiting room. If you pay that cost, and this card is on your center stage, you can pay the cost. If you do, all your other characters get the following ability until end of turn. This ability activates once per turn. When damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you may deal 2 damage to your opponent. So ideally, you would want to play 3 copies of this, and then each play will give the other 2 characters the instant of on negate deal 2. So if you play all 3, you'll get on attack. If it negates, you can deal 2 to your opponent. So I may kind of go in more depth in a future video about that. But yeah, that's the level 3 combo overall. And then I'm running 4 copies of My Best Self, which is the level 3 climax card combo, and 4 copies of Closest to You, which is the level 1 climax combo. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Check EncoreDecks.com in the link in the description below to see an overview of this deck build.